Hello everyone and welcome to Sinful Gaming. I hope you're all doing well, I hope you're all staying safe, and most of all, I hope you're all fighting that war against the grey. So today, it's just a little bit of a fun video. So, we're hosting a local, baby's first tournament for our new community in the northern suburbs of Adelaide, and we're running it out of a fantastic game store known as Dragon's Lair Salisbury. If you are up in the northern suburbs of Adelaide, come and hang out with us and play some Warhammer Age of Sigmar. It's also a great place for things like card games and other versions of Warhammer as well. It also has some D&D groups there as well that play from time to time. But enough of that. Let's get into talking about the event. So, as I mentioned, this is effectively trying to be a baby's first tournament, a very beginner-friendly tournament. So, with that, we've taken away a few things and we've made it very simple in the scoring system. So, we're just having major wins, draws, and major losses. There is no minors, so we've removed secondaries from the tournament. We're just playing either major victory, draw, or major loss. You will get 100 tournament points if you score a major victory. You will get 50 tournament points if you get a draw, and 10 tournament points with a loss. I always like giving points to people who lose. It means no one ends on a 0 at the end of the tournament. That's never fun. So the cool thing about this, though, is the way I like to run tiebreakers in my tournaments is that I add the victory points scored in the scenario on top of your score for battle points. So if you got a major victory and scored, say, 16 victory points, you would get 100 plus 16, giving you 116 victory points. I ran this at CDGT, Sinful District Grand Tournament, last year, and it was well received. People have actually started using it in their own little tournament packs now, so it's going to be continued to be used by me. Scenario-wise, we're going to be playing 4 games over 1 day for this 1,000 point tournament, and we're going to be playing Shifting Objectives, Knife to the Heart, Battle for the Pass, and Focal Points. 4 cool scenarios, all a little bit different, all really focusing on objectives, obviously, except Knife to the Heart, which will be a good scenario to sort of split that pack up and get some draws and some major wins, sort of separating the pack. Also, it's the one just before lunch, so I like scenarios like that where they can end that little bit earlier, which is good because then people get a little bit of extra lunchtime if they really want to. Well, let's look at our field. And so we've got 11 players playing, and I've spelled allegiances really badly here, but, it is what it is. And so for the spread of the field, we have 3 Seraphon. I believe there are 2 Starborn and 1 Coalesced, 2 Ironjaws armies, 1 Big War, which is very Ironjaws focused, 1 Disciples of Tzeentch, 1 Gloomspite Gitz, which is a Trog-Oth army, a He Knights of Slaanesh army, a Caradron Overlords army, and a Sylvaneth army. Nice spread of armies. And to be honest, I'm playing in a new local meta with a bunch of cheesy players. No, just kidding. They've all just picked armies they really like. It just happens that a lot of them like currently some good armies in the game. But it is what it is. Anyway, let's get talking about all the different lists. I'd like, if anyone else watching this besides the people playing in my local community, I'd like if you can give some pointers and some tips for these lists and how they can evolve, what they can do better, how they can think about them. Because, like I said, there's a lot of new players in this list, and all feedback on these lists is completely welcome. Be nice when you're doing it, obviously, because these are new players. They're just trying to learn the game, and some of them are attached to units. We all have those units that we really like and we don't want to go without. But definitely leave some feedback on the list. Let them know how they can take that list to the next level, and some tricks and tips they can do with it. That'd be really appreciated. So leave some comments with those tips and tricks down there. But let's get into the list. And so to start with, we've got Ash. He's going to be playing Gloomspite Gitz, and he's going to be using the new Glog's Mega Mob sub-faction. For a leader, he's going to have a Dank-Old Trog Boss, who's going to be his general with the command trait Shepherd of Idiotic Destruction and the artifact Aether Quartz Studded Hide. So a nice big leader there, and that of course unlocks Troggoths as battle line. The most important thing though. He's then got 2 Shamans, and he's got a Madcap Shaman with the spell Itchy Nuisance, which is a nice little spell, and a Fungoid Cave Shaman with a spell Hand of Gork. Now, you've got these two spells here, and it's really good to have the Hand of Gork on the Fungoid, who has that dual cast and has that bit more flexibility with how they can do. Also, he's a lot more survivable than the Madcap Shaman. So, Hand of Gork is by far the more important spell to have with the Gloomspike Git, so good job on having that on the Fungoid. Battle line, we've then got 6 Fellwater and 6 Rock Guts. That is a solid block of troops. Now, there are, obviously the issues with this is you've got very minimal units in 1,000 points. This could be a slight issue. However, if those Troggovs get on objectives, I really don't see much shifting them. That's a lot of wounds at 1,000 points to get around and get moved. So someone has to really put something in high to shift them off the objectives. But it comes to 1,000 points, no extra command points. That is, I guess, an issue when you're not taking that extra command point. If he goes second and he gets alpha struck by something, it could be an issue. No allies, but then he's got 68 wounds, which at 1,000 points is pretty decent. Remembering in a 2,000 point game, about 100 to 120 is pretty average wounds, so he's right up there with wounds, slightly above average probably. We've then got Colin, and he's playing Sylvaneth. He's going to be playing in the Winterleaf Glade, and he's going to take a Branch Wraith as his general with a command trait, My Heart is Ice, Artifact Frozen Kernel, and the spell Virtuous Harmony. So this is the spell casting Branch Wraith that's going to be doing the majority of the spell casting. And then he's got Drycha Hammerdreth with spell Regrowth, so she's just there to make sure she can keep healing herself. But what he's done really well, I think, with his list is put the second Branch Wraith in there with the spell Regrowth as well. I always talk about this when I build lists and stuff, that having a backup wizard to cast an important spell is really useful. There might be times where Drycha Hammerdreth is having to put out mortal wounds on the table somewhere else or cast a different spell. So having the Branch Wraith there that can cast Regrowth, so Drycha can do like an Arcane Bolt if she's further out, because it's more likely that she's further up the table than a Branch Wraith. So definitely a good choice there with the double Regrowth spell. Now, what's interesting here is he is really light on bodies, and it's pretty obvious, I would say, that those Branch Wraiths are going to be trying to summon each and every turn. At least one of those Branch Wraiths is going to be summoning. And once again, that comes down to doubling up on it. He's got 2 Branch Wraiths, so 2 attempts to summon, and you've got to remove 2 different heroes to get rid of his summoning on the table. Battle line, he's got 2 units of 5 Tree Revenants, really solid battle line units because they can just jump around the table where need be. At 1,000 points, movement can be massive, and these Tree Revenants are going to provide it. And then 2 units of 3 Kurnoth Hunters. Once again, these are just a solid unit. At 1,000 points, 3 Kurnoth Hunters is a serious chunk of model that's going to need to be removed. Both units with great swords, which is cool. His army also comes to 1,000 points, no extra command points, which I think is the big issue for him, more so than the Trogs. If he gets hit hard, he's going to have a bit of a problem. And he also doesn't have a lot to really screen out and protect those Branch Wraiths, so he's got to be careful of that. No allies, but he has 60 wounds, which is slightly above average, or probably at the high end of average, really. But decent list. Then we've got David. David's going to be playing with Hedonites of Slaanesh, and it's changed it to Hedonism of Slaanesh. God damn it, autocorrect. He's going to be playing in Pretenders. Keeper of Secrets as his general. Obviously, is going to get the 2 command traits because he's playing Pretenders. So he gets Strongest Alone, Strength of Godhood. He's got the Sinistrous Hand. He's got the Pendant of Slaanesh and spell Slothful Stupor. Keeper of Secrets, just good. I mean, if this thing gets its... I forget the rule of what it's called, the Locus of Diversion, off, it can take out a lot of things, but they do fall pretty quickly. They are made out of wet paper. He's then got the Contorted Epitome, which is a really cool model, and just a really solid choice, in all honesty. Really hard to remove off the table. And for battle line, he's got 10 Chaos Warriors and 20 Daemonettes, coming in at 990 points, no command points, no allies, but 61 wounds, so a decent amount of wounds on the table once again. Remembering those 10 Chaos Warriors are 20 wounds on amongst them. The one issue I see here is he's got a lot of really offensively good stuff, but there is very little defense in this list. If he gets to play on the front foot, he's going to do really well, but if he falls behind and starts having to play on the back foot, I think this list is going to struggle in that aspect. So he's going to be playing on the offensive, and if he gets pushed back and he's playing on the counteractive sort of side of the game, it could be a bit of a problem for him. Then got Harley Greenwagon. He's going to be playing with Iron Jaws, Mega Boss and Maw Crusher General, Command Trait, Ironclad, Metal Ripper's Claw, and the Meanon. He's got Oracle Chanter with Fix It Beat. Battle Line 10 Boys, 3 Gorgunters, an extra command point coming in at 980 points. 1 extra command point in there because he's bought it. No allies and 56 wounds. So an average amount of wounds, but that Maw Crusher is deadly. That Maw Crusher, I don't think I've seen anything in any list that can stand up to that Maw Crusher. Even the Trolls are going to suffer under that Maw Crusher. It's going to be an absolute wrecking machine. Maw Crushers are just, they are fisty dragons. They are just bowling balls that are going to go and knock down all your toys. So you definitely, if anyone is watching, you need to go deal with this model because it will stuff up all your plans. And then the War Chanter with Fix and Beat to heal it up. That's going to be hard. The only downside, because he's taken the Maw Crusher and he's put so many points invested in it by taking the War Chanter with Fix and Beat as well, is that he is light on bodies on the table. So potentially maybe your objective to try and beat this list is not actually to take out the Maw Crusher, but rather just count up the points. The Maw Crusher can't be everywhere at once. Then got James Lee, who's going to be playing Seraphon. He's going to be Starborn and the Fangs of Sotek Constellation. He's going to have a Pterodon Chief, who's going to be his general. He's going to have Command Trait, Old and Grizzled, Artifact Serpent, and God Dagger. He's then got 2 Skink Star Priests, 1 with Titus Serpents, and 1 with Hand of Glory. For Battle Line, he's got 10 Skinks and 20 Stinks. I just said Stinks. And other units, he's got 6 Pterodon Riders, and he's also got a Bastillodon coming in at 1,000 points, 0 command points, 0 allies, but 73 wounds. So he is well above average on those wounds. It's the highest wound count we've seen so far. This is a solid list. Bastillodons are really hard to shift. Skinks are fantastic. Those Star Priests are really good. Hand of Glory is a great spell for some rerolls. Pterodons are a really solid unit. He's got a lot of movement ability just with the fact he's playing Starborn, and also those Pterodons are there, and he's got some really good tough units in there as well with that Bastillodon. I think this is a very well-rounded Seraphon list in all honesty. A lot of wounds and just a lot of different pieces. If this can be played really well, he can do really well, I think, at the tournament. This is definitely a list that has all the potential to do really good things. Big things is Bastillodon's hard to move. There's not much at 1,000 point that's ever going to remove it. So for people playing against it, there's not really much. A big part of the punching power comes from those Skinks. They do fall down quite easily though. The Pterodons are really good and should not be underestimated, especially since they're really fast. So you need to put up plans and make sure you can deal with something getting into you really quick. So setup against this army is very key. Then we've got Leon. You might have seen Leon on the channel before. You might have seen a few of these people on the channel before, actually. But Leon with a very similar list. This is a 1,000 point list I played against with the Misthaven list that I played against not too long ago. Allegiance, Caradron Overlords playing Barak Zilfin as his Skyport. He's got an Endrin Master with Dirigible Seat who's going to be his general. He's then going to have the command trait Grudge Bearer, Artifact Staff of Ocular Optimization, and then he's got Bjorgen Thundrick, which is the Warband leader, Aether Chemist dude from Underworld. Battle line, 1 Archonic Company with all the different weapons, 3 Endrin Riggers with an Aethematic Volley Gun and a Skyhook. He's then got a Frigate with a Sky Cannon and Malefic Sky Mines, which are the mines that sort of just drop out and do some mortal wounds. He's then got obviously Thundrick's Profiteers needed because he's taken Bjorgen Thundrick. 5 Grunstuck Thunderers. They've got the standard rifles on all of them, and a Grunstuck Gun Hauler with a Sky Cannon and a Great Endrin Works Coalbeard's collapsible compartment, giving this unit a carry capacity of 5. So everything here can attach and fit inside those 2 airships. He's going to be extremely fast moving across the table and with a ton of firepower at his disposal. This list can spell death for a bunch of lists really quickly, and especially if you're not zoning him out properly. By zoning out, I mean making sure your units are blocking up space on the table so these ships can't get near you. They do have to, when they fly high, redeploy just like anything else, so 9 inch away. So you may have to sacrifice units to push him back to keep the stuff you want safe. It's going to be very key to make sure that he can't go where he wants to, because if he can get to where he wants to, he's going to take your toys off the table. Total, it comes up to 990 points. He's got no extra command points, which is one of the issues with this list. If you can hit him quickly, he's going to be taking some battle shot tests. So if you can get into him turn 1, if you can outdrop him, which is going to be hard, but if you can get into him quickly, you can potentially take him off. And if you can battle shock those Archnaut Company off the table, he suddenly is very light on bodies. He's got no allies though, and 65 wounds, so he's got a decent amount of wounds. The frigate is decent, but the frigates are not untouchable. Unlike, say, the bigger Ironclad, a frigate is certainly able to be taken down by some mid-sized units. Do not feel the pressure to not be able to take that thing down. There's a lot of units in a lot of people's armies that can take that down if they need to. We then got Max. Max is going to be playing Iron Jaws as well. He's got an Auric Weird-Eyed Shaman as his only character in his general. Command trait Bursting with Power. The Great Green Visions artifact spells are going to be the Great Big Green Hand of Gork, Spell Brain Buster. Battle line 15 Auric Ardboys, 5 Brutes, 3 Gore Grunters, all in an Iron Fist, 1,000 points, extra command point. No allies, but 81 wounds. So the first thing, he is light on heroes, but none of the scenarios we have focus on heroes. He has a lot of bodies on the table and a lot of wounds on the table. Those Ardboys are 30 wounds on a 4-up save. That is really, really strong at 1,000 points. I think this is a really solid list. Maybe a little bit light on character, so Battle Shock is going to be an issue. He's got a command point, but if you can take that Shaman off, he's going to suffer from Battle Shock really, really hard. But it's a decent list. If this can get into something really quick, it can do a lot of damage, and it can really put your opponent on the back foot if this can get into you and hold you in place for a turn or two. Definitely a solid list. Next up, we got Nathan. Nathan is playing with Seraphon, Coalesced, and Coados Claw. He's got a Saurus Scar Veteran on Carnosaur, who's his general with the Dominant Predator. Once again, a goddamn another spelling mistake. Artifact, Eviscerating Blade. Saurus Old Blood on Carnosaur. Skink Star Priest with Hand of Glory, a great spell. For Battle Line, he's got 5 Saurus Knights, 20 Saurus Warriors. I'm pretty sure they were spears, if I remember. And an extra command point. Coming in at 990, as mentioned, 1 extra command point. No allies, and 68 wounds. So we've got a lot of wounds there, and because it's coalesced, those Saurus are going to be hard to shift. I think if you saw in the last battle report I put up on the channel, I really struggled to remove Saurus that were coalesced. All your damage is halved. It really makes them that much more survivable. Hand of Glory in there, 2 Carnosaurs. He's got the potential to take out pretty much anything on the table with those Carnosaurs, especially if he works them in tandem, which would definitely be the thing I would be doing, is putting them together and running them around as a duo wrecking machine. But he's got enough pieces around these guys. Saurus Knights, which have that little bit extra movement. He's got some bodies in the Saurus Warrior. The Skink Star Priest is a solid piece. This is a really, really solid list, I think, for Seraphon. Really good at 1,000 points. Very well rounded. Peter, we've then got... Now, Peter hasn't sent me all his list. His list was a little bit incomplete. So he's playing Seraphon with Starborn, Dracothian's Tail, Slain Starmaster, Ashford Barrett, Sunblood, 10 Saurus, and a Sunclaw Starhoist, 960 extra command point and 50 wounds. Decent. There's not much more I can say on this because I haven't got all the details on it, but decent enough list. He's got bodies, he's got a slan, and he's got the pieces. He's just maybe a bit light on wounds, and because he's not coalesced, those Saurus will fall a little bit easier. Then got Scott Briggs, who's going to have Disciples of Tzeentch. He's playing on the Eternal Conflagration. Once again, only 1 leader, but we've not got any leader-focused scenarios, so it's not maybe an issue. General, Command Trait, Consecrating Flames, Artifact Shroud of Warflame, Spell Arcane Suggestion. Battle Line, 3 Flamers, and 20 Pink Horrors, and then he's got an Exalted Flamer of Tzeentch coming in at 960, no command points, no allies, and 42 wounds. Now, those 42 wounds are completely a lie, because you've got to remember there's an extra 40 wounds of Blue Horrors and 40 wounds of Brimstone Horrors. So in fact, when you consider all that, it's actually 122 wounds on the table. Those horrors split and then split again. It is 122 wounds. This is a horrifying list. Those horrors are going to be there for days. My best advice for dealing with this list is get rid of that character so that he can't be Battle Shock immuning those Pink Horrors of Tzeentch, because if he can and they're staying and they're not suffering more death, it can be a big issue for anyone. You're going to really want to make sure you pin them back in his deployment zone, because if they can get across the table, they're going to pin you in and you're not going to be able to get out. So he's got some decent play in this list, and you've got to make sure that you make the right plays, pushing into him, putting the pink horrors in combat in his deployment zone, because if they get into yours, you're not getting out. And lastly, we've got Stewie. He's going to be playing Bigwa. He's got a leader, Mega Boss and Maw Crusher, Live to Fight Command Trait, Artifact Destroyer, Mount Trait Minun. He's got a Fix and Beat War Chanter, 3 Gore Grunters, 3 Gore Grunters, 5 Auric Guard Boys, 990, 61 wounds, no command points and allies. This is very similar to Harley's Iron Jaws list, and I'll be really interested to see out of the two of them who does better. I almost hope that these two get to play each other. I want to see the Bigwa go up against the Iron Jaws because the lists are so similar. Be really interesting. This, once again, I mean, everything I said about Harley's list pretty much applies to this. I think almost exactly like everything I said. Same thing, that Maw Crusher is going to be amazing. The War Chanter is there to fix the Mega Boss on Maw Crusher. He's got more Gore Grunters than Harley. He's gone to 2 units to 3 Gore Grunters rather, and 5 Ard Boys instead of the other unit of Ard Boys. So decent. Very decent. This is going to be a much faster list probably, just ever so slightly, but definitely see how they all go. But that's it. That's all the lists. I will give a shout out to the Gumby army that we've currently got playing. If everyone manages to show up tomorrow, is going to be my good pal Ryan, who you've seen on the channel. He's going to be bringing some Gargants. Just a fun Gargant army. 1 Mega Gargant, 1 unit, 3 Man Crushers. It's just a fun army to rock around with someone playing the Gumby if they have to. We'll have a ton of fun with that. But that's all for me today, guys. Thanks for watching. I hope this list has been insightful. As mentioned, a lot of these people are brand new to AOS, or at least brand new to, I guess, competitive AOS. So any thoughts and ideas you have on these lists, whether you think they can go next and all that sort of stuff, obviously be nice about it. That once again, there's a lot of new players here, so be very kind. But give some thoughts, give some critique, give some ideas to these people, because it would be good to help all these hobbyists get that little bit extra info, and get some outside input rather than just, my own and our sort of local metas input. But that's it for today, everyone. Well, thank you all for watching the video. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please leave a like and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Also, if you'd like to come chat with me and other members of our fine community, you can do so by following the link down to our Discord server in the description of the video below. Also, would like to give a special shout out to everyone who supports the channel via Patreon or YouTube members, and they are our Sinful Guard Militia members Christian Weir, Philip Ward, Soren, Kenny Lowell, Alderon Shot First, Chaos Spawn and James Crowder, and our Free Guild Regiment members James and AJC. Thank you all so much for your support. If you'd like to help support the channel like these fine gentlemen do, then you can do so by either clicking the link to follow to our Patreon down in the description of the video, or by joining the YouTube channel. That's it for today though, folks. Thank you all for watching once again. Stay safe, stay well, and most of all, keep fighting that war against the Grey. Ciao for now.